from Jose Juan at the Mexican Embassy in Oslo to give me the signal to start. I'm ready over here. And I can see 3 of the panelists. I suggest we follow Trine's advice that all the panelists will leave their cameras on and all the participants leave their cameras off. That will make it much easier for everyone to know who is who here. It's great to see so many registered. I got some numbers here. As I hear that 54 persons are registered for this session. I think that's really, really great. Hola.
Hi, how are you?
As far as I can see, there we have the last panelists. As far as I can see.
Ready.
Okay, I think everything is ready to begin now then. Well, hello, my name is Gaute Hagerup. I am the CEO of Oslo Business Region. Oslo Business Region is a company fully owned by the municipality of Oslo, and we are building the entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Oslo, and we are also the project management office for Oslo Innovation Week. And this session here is part of Oslo Innovation Week. Oslo Innovation Week is one of the largest tech conferences in the Nordics, with a full week full of very interesting meetings and programs and webinars. This year we're doing it fully digital, and I'm really, really thrilled that we have the Mexican Embassy in Oslo as a co-organizer here. And they are co-organizing this session here together with Norway Health Tech, which is a health tech cluster, a hub in Oslo called Oslo 657, and a similar hub in Mexico called Mind. I will leave it up to you guys to present yourself more clearly around that. The thing is that last autumn, I was invited by Ambassador Ulysses Cachoa to his residence in Oslo to discuss some ideas of his. He had some really, really interesting ideas on how to build binational innovation ecosystems. We're going to hear some more thoughts from him quite soon about what that is. But the point is that this whole session that we're doing here today is about exploring a little bit what's in that concept and exploring if there are opportunities between Norway and Mexico on building upon the two ecosystems in the two nations and see what we can build out of that in collaboration. So I'm going to ask the 5 panelists to first present themselves and the company they represent, just 2 minutes, and then after that, Ambassador Cachoa is going to give us a little bit more in-depth understanding of the concept of binational innovation ecosystem. So I think I will start with the ambassador himself. You have a couple of minutes to present yourself. Then afterwards, we will have Anniken Fjellberg from the Oslo 657 hub. And then we will have Carmina Haro of the Mind hub in Mexico. After that, Trine Radman of Norway Health Tech. And then finally, Paola Desentis, founder and CEO of Complementarity. Okay, Ambassador, I give the word to you.
Gaute, thank you very much, and thank you to everybody that has been signed to this panel. My name is Ulysses Cachoa. I'm the Mexican ambassador in Norway ever since 1 year ago exactly. I've been in the diplomatic career for 30 years. So I've been a diplomat by profession, but I must confess I'm an addict to innovation. by motivation. And I'm really excited that we finally got together, Gaute, in this very nice setting in order to discuss the binational innovation ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anniken?
My name is Anniken. I'm very happy to be here. I, in 2012, founded, together with my partner, 657 Oslo, which has grown to become Norway's largest community for creative industries and startups. So we specialize in creative industries, but that's a really, really broad topic. We also collaborate very much with other organizations and companies and hubs, such as Norway Health Tech, for instance. The last 5 years, we've had a great collaboration also with one of the largest creative communities globally, called the Creative Business Network. So we work a lot here in Norway with many startups, but also internationally.
Thank you, Anniken. Carmina?
Hi, how are you? My name is Carmina. I'm the General Director of MIND, that is Mexico Innovation and Design. We are a center innovation, and we like to promote the culture of innovation and technology and trends like that. And we are in a building of 9 floors, but we are not only a building. We are also like an ecosystem here in Jalisco that always are like driving subjects of innovation and technology through productive integration, to the academy, to the others innovation centers, and we are very now like happy because we are making this collaboration with the Embassy of Norway and with Ulises, that he is like a change maker in the public area. He, like ambassador, he's very a person that is promoting all the time the innovation here in Mexico. So I'm very glad to be here, and I'm very glad to know you guys, and I hope that today we can find some links to make things happen.
Thank you, Carmina. Trine?
Yes, hello. My name is Trine Rødland. I'm head of international affairs in Norway Health Tech, which is Norway's largest health technology cluster. We are a non-for-profit member organization consisting of nearly 218 members. They are scale-up companies, startup companies, and large corporates. Most of them are from Norway, but we're also members from abroad. So our mission as a cluster is to improve the quality in treatment and care, and we do so by developing and scaling world-class health solutions to our members and ecosystems. So we work quite closely today in the larger, broader terms of the ecosystem. So we collaborate with many different countries, local authorities, with the national government, with hospitals, test facilities, and others. So I think this the debate today is very interesting for Norway Health Tech. Thank you.
Thank you, Trine. And then finally, Paola.
Hello, thank you all for inviting me. It's a pleasure to share this panel. So I'm Paola Desentis. I've been pioneering in the innovation ecosystem in Mexico. I work with the sustainability ministry for Mexico City. We created the first mapping and ecosystem in the creative industries sector with the federal government. And I helped create also the high-impact entrepreneurship ecosystem with the former government. So those has been my roles. So I'm very excited to hear what happens in this panel and with these great people pushing innovation and pushing binational relationships.
Thank you. Nice introduction of the panel, and as you all can hear, these are people with great experience from exactly this thing of developing ecosystems for innovation. So, Ambassador, we are eager to hear a little bit more about your thoughts around this concept of binational innovation ecosystem. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Definitely. Thank you very much, Gaute. I will do so by responding three basic questions. Why we are doing what we are doing, what we are doing, and how we are doing it. Why are we pursuing, or why are we pursuing this? We want to be ready to profit from the next level of globalization. Nowadays, we're watching the transition from integration to ecosystem. So we want to be ready to profit from that transition, and I will be explaining a little bit more about it. What are we doing? We are establishing a binational innovation ecosystem that could help us achieve that goal. And we think that Mexico and Norway are the perfect match in order to achieve this goal. Finally, how are we planning to do it? Well, we try to profit from the knowledge economy with a social perspective. So if I may recapitulate a little bit, I'll go first to talk about transition. Nowadays, we're living in times of transitions. I would like to point out two specifically. The first one would be global. We're transiting through what is called an exponential technological growth. And we need to cope with technology. How are we going to relate with ourselves, among ourselves, and with technology itself? So it's very important to be dealing with that transition. On the other hand, let's say a local transition is the one that we've seen with countries like Mexico and Norway that are looking to diversify their economies. So the idea is to set the latter in the former. That is, to set the transition that Mexico and Norway are looking for their economies in the whole set transition of technological exponential growth. What are we doing for that matter? The idea of the binational innovation ecosystem, well, it's an alternative, actually, to the economic growth model that has been running so far. So it's very important, yes, we're trying to change not only culture, but structure. We're trying to change the way why we think and how we think about business. Again, this is an opportunity for two countries with complementarity and similarities like Mexico and Norway. And finally, how are we going to deal with it? How are we going to pursue this? Well, by bringing entrepreneurship, diplomacy, technology, and innovation together. In the section of diplomacy, I may add, we're trying to innovate as well how we deploy diplomacy, how we become a more relevant actor that could be adding value to this social objective that we're pursuing. So, in a nutshell, this is why we are doing what we are doing and how we are doing.
Thank you, Ambassador. That was a very clear and concise description. So, okay, I'd like now to invite the four panelists to respond to this concept, this idea. What do you think about it? What kind of opportunities do you see in it? And what could it possibly mean for you, your organization, your work with entrepreneurship? I'd like to start with you, Carmina.
Okay. Well, I think that we have a lot of things in common. I think that Ulysses just explained very well what we are doing just right now. And I think that, for example, in Mexico and Norway, the circular economy, under a model of environmental responsibility, we are sharing this vision. So I think that it's one of the most important things that we are thinking. Like the ecosystem in Mexico and in particular here in Jalisco, Guadalajara, I think that it's very common for us to try to make things with other countries, but always for a region, I think, because geographically we are a neighbor of another countries, but I think that also we have to make and to think in some kind of collaboration with another countries like Norway, because we have a lot of similar things in our environment. For example, health, technology, creative industries, fashion, and scaling up startups, etc. So I think that the most important thing now is to try to collaborate and to make open innovation between two countries. And we like a center of innovation, and we like to make links, and we like to join with people who love innovation like we love innovation. So I think that is the first thing for us, like Center of Innovation, making these plans and these programs. But I think that we have a lot of things in common. So I would like to focus in subjects that make us like very similar and a similar situation, even if we live in very, very far away.
And that's interesting what you're saying there, because I mean, it may not be the first collaborative axis that would spring to mind when you are in Mexico. Maybe Norway is not the first place that you think of, and maybe vice versa, that sitting here in Oslo, Mexico may not be the first place that we think of. What role do you think that diplomacy and the ambassador can do here?
Well, I just said that he is like a change maker. This is not very common, but it's happening. So we need change makers everywhere, because the people who want to make the difference in a place, I think, that are the people that are fighting for something different. And we need to, for example, using this case for the embassy, we need to make collaboration in a way that maybe for mine is new. I don't know for the embassy, but I think that also. But I think that he is like the key, that special key that is open a lot of doors for us, and presenting us at these kind of platforms, and another center of innovation, investors, people who want to make the same thing that we want to make here, like the culture, innovation culture, workshops, digitalization, I don't know, a lot of things. So I think that they are the key for us, and we are a link for them. So I think the collaboration is just like this. We make links, they make links, and the objective and the proposal is the same. How we make that innovation it's all over the companies and the academic and the other centers of innovation, etc.
Thank you. I just recognized that I forgot to tell you that, of course, you're all invited to participate in the debate by posing question in the, it's like a chat here on the left-hand side. I think below all the screens, you see that there is like this little chat icon. So please feel free to pose questions in there. Jose Juan will follow closely and lift those questions. And to those of you who are new in here, we just decided that only the panelists should have their cameras on, and the other ones can have it off, just to make it a little bit easier for participants to see to understand who are the panelists here. Yes. Okay, so let's continue a little bit around the table here now. I'd like to ask you, Anniken, to respond a little bit to the ambassador's ideas of what Binational Innovation Ecosystem is.
Yes. So I think it's really interesting to hear how you are thinking around this topic and the way you are laying out the collaboration. It all starts with an intention, and I think when nations decide to collaborate on the business level, it's much easier for businesses to start collaborating as well. And the role of an ambassador will be to make that introduction, and that happens on both sides of the table. So we experience a lot of the startups that we have in our community have been introduced by Innovation Norway or our ambassadors in countries abroad with a lot of success. And we've also seen embassies here in Norway representing various countries reach out to us throughout the last 8 years with propositions of collaboration, especially based on startups. So I think this is a really good idea. For us, I mean, Norway's 5 million people, our inhabitants are, compared to Mexico with nearly 130 million people, EU must be a dream market for many of the companies in our country. And as the Norway Health Tech can confirm, Norway is also, I think, sort of a test market for many large companies abroad, because we are tech interested and quite tech savvy as a nation, our inhabitants as well. So it's a good market to test concepts. And I think that's probably also some of what we can collaborate about. What we all know that startups need and scale-ups is the famous 3 C's, which is customers, capital, and competency. So I think that the proposition that the ambassador is making is actually to invite us to create an infrastructure around startups between our nations where we can access those 3 C's and provide it into the infrastructure, because basically 657 is also an infrastructure for entrepreneurs. We collaborate already a lot with the government and also with you guys in Oslo Business Region. So it's a very good extension to the infrastructure that we already have built, and a very interesting one, the way I see it, because it's a huge market with, I think, a lot of possibilities.
Thank you. What about you, Trine? What are your thoughts?
Well, I agree with the last two speakers. I think it's great possibilities for collaborate more closely, especially in North, maybe. At least that's only in this we are looking at the moment. If you're in Oslo, in Oslo Science Park, where Norway Health Tech is based, we are in the middle of the ecosystem in Oslo when it comes to the academia and the university hospitals and the test facilities and all the companies around us. So I think it's also that is also a way of doing it when it comes to the EIE, because if you make the different universities in Mexico and Oslo or Norway to collaborate more closely, and also the hospitals to learn from each other, it's easier also for the companies on both sides to test their solutions and to make the growth potential that we are all looking for when it comes to health and make better solutions for the patients. The other thing is I would like to say is that, like Anniken mentioned, we have something called Nordic Proof that we are running for Norway Health Tech. It's a test market between the Nordic countries where it's one way for every company coming from all over the world, if they have a digital solution, just to send an application and to ask for a test in one of the hospitals in one of the 5 Nordic countries, because then we will have, if you get through and can test your solution, for example in Finland, you can also sell it or sell it in Norway. So this is also a way of making the Norwegian market larger for the companies coming from abroad. But I think if you are from Mexico and you're used to so many inhabitants and you're looking for a new market, I don't think Norway will be the first market you will go into, because it's 5.2 million inhabitants, it's quite small. But if you are looking at 25 million, it's much more interesting. And finally, when it comes to what you can do from the diplomatic side here, I think it's quite good to have to open doors that we can do from where we are standing, for example, and build knowledge about the different markets on both sides, and maybe making these collaborations where people can meet and talk together and find out what we can do together. I think when the COVID-19 period is over, it's easier to meet upfront and to handshake and to get to know people. And I think it's nobody except from our diplomats that are so good in doing this. So I think you can be the very good front runners for this. And that was also owed to the Norwegian part of the diplomats that we had in your region, in Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tina. I think it's a really good point you were making there, Norway being small, but the Nordics as a whole is not all, it's not that bad actually. It does have a certain size. And I've actually read a ranking list where if you combine all the 5 Nordic countries all together, they constitute the 11th largest economy in the world when it comes to the GDP production. So it is actually something to look for. Yeah. I've seen there have been some questions in the chat here, Trine. People wanted to know the test program's name. Anniken responded, it's Nordic Proof, so that's good. So please just follow up with questions. The more dialogue we can have with the people in the watching this, the better it is. But still have to listen to your response, Paola, to what the ambassador, how the ambassador explained the binational innovation ecosystem.
Yes, well, first of all, I think that the panelists' conversation has been amazing. And what I think is that we certainly represent how we need to incubate sectors. We have a government entity, we have a creative hub, we have a science park, we have a creative hub and science park within itself that it's mined. And to foster innovation, we have to have different representatives that will take coverage and will take responsibility to the different fronts that innovation needs to have to succeed, right? So it's like the ambassador he's representing like the entrepreneurship, and he's being an entrepreneur in all this diplomatic system in Mexico, fostering this binational ecosystem. And I think this is a very successful move, because what we need as countries, and what obviously COVID-19 has left us, is that we aren't all in the same boat. We need to collaborate as humans, taking advantage of the resources, capabilities, networks, contacts that the region where you are brought in, or where you grew up, or the country, the region where you are, offers you, and what can you share with other regions through these platforms, institutional platforms that this binational innovation ecosystem is bringing in. So I'm really excited to see this. I know that part of this binational innovation ecosystem, there's a plan to map out what is the region of Norway offering and what is Mexico offering. So with that information, you can really start mapping and stretching out the relationships based on the information that obviously technology can help with this. The data that we can have to have more successful relationships and more faster relationships as well. And so that will be very interesting to see what the first pilot project can be, the genesis out of this mapping. So yeah, that's my comment to that.
I see Ambassador has lifted his hand, and just to make you aware of it, there is this hand icon down there. So let's just have a very open dialogue. Please feel free to click on the hand, so that when you come with comments, you don't have to wait for me to address you. You can just jump on into the conversation. Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Gaute. Sorry to take the floor again, just because in the first intervention I was a little bit rushed. But two very important things that I omit to mention, and that's very relevant. The first, what do I mean by a binational innovation ecosystem? Well, this is, let's say, the framework where two countries, in this case Mexico and Norway, profit from their differentiated capacities and complementarities in order to pursue innovation as a means to obtain well-being for their societies, Second, a value, a social value, like could it be sustainability or gender balance? And thirdly, and not least important, to generate knowledge. And this is for the benefit, of course, of both countries, but not necessarily limited to those countries. So this is the first remark, the three aspects that the BIE is pursuing: well-being, value, knowledge. Second, yes, we can think in terms of markets, whether we have access to this market or to the other. But what I'm meaning when I say that we're transiting from integration to ecosystem is that we have already gone through this process of economic, commercial integration, market integration. Of course, the Nordic region is a very, very nice area where you have a lot of business opportunities. Mexico with 12, 13 free trade agreements as well. But here, the scenario is different. We're living in a borderless world. We don't need to be neighbors physically in order to interact and in order to cope together with this challenge. So if you ask me what are the possibilities of this kind of binational ecosystem between countries like Mexico and Norway, I would say the sky's the limit. Thank you.
That's a really cool intervention. We don't need to be neighbors anymore physically to collaborate and to exchange knowledge and value. I think that's a really, really cool remark there. And those that are best at benefiting from this situation now that we're in, with the technology, I think they can create a lot of value. It's a really good point. Paola.
Yes, exactly. And building on that point and building on Anniken's point as well, right now funds are all global. They work globally, right? They can invest in any startup that matches their needs or their perspectives or terms and conditions. So money will flow where the innovation is, and that's amazing. It's like innovation is the new blood of the world. And it's how we capitalize that now that we have that tool, in this new era. So I think the most benefited out of this should be the creative ones, the innovators, the people that are in science, like all the information economy, which we're passing by that moment and we're jumping into creativity economy, right? Like we pass through digitalizing old products and services, and now we are trying to create new products and services based on what technology is offering. So now we have that opportunity in which you can reach out to any kind of fund if you have a great project, if you have a great idea. You don't need to be an entrepreneur. If you are an institution, you might as well reach out for new opportunities. So I think this collaboration between both ecosystems, it's a huge deal, right? It's super important. Your mic is closed, Gaute.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Now your mic is closed, Paola. But anyway. Yes. Okay, I see there's a question from Manuel Meneses in the chat. So first, let Trine say something. She lifted her hand, and then afterwards I'll pose your question, Manuel.
Yes, just a short question from my side or a comment. I think it's important to, if I'm a normal Norwegian, I need to build more knowledge about Mexico, and especially in health. If you're going to have an ecosystem that works well on both sides. So I think the knowledge building is very important. Even for a Norwegian going to Sweden, we need to build knowledge about the new market. So I think that's one of the things that we can do from different parts here. And when it comes to health, it's one of the things that we need to do. It's not just nice to do it, but also it's something that we need to do if we're going to have the success. And when it comes to health, it's important to understand how the market is working when it comes to regulatory, for example, but also which needs that are and challenges that you have in Mexico when it comes to health. I'm sorry for the
Your dog.
The dog, yeah. The problem, the needs and the challenges in the health sector that you have in Mexico, because then it's easier for us also to match with the right companies interested in going to Mexico. I know already a couple of companies that would like to go to Mexico, but they haven't started yet. But to do so, they also need to understand all the health market. And we can do the same in Norway when it comes to companies from Mexico to make it a bit more build knowledge about the Norwegian health market and the challenges that we have. And we're looking for solutions to deliver on.
And that's related to Manuel's question, because he asks directly, are there any priority sectors identified for this collaboration? Trine first.
No, I think maybe the ambassador would like to answer that.
Yes, ambassador.
Thank you, Gaute, and I take advantage of this opportunity. What are the three areas that we have identified in this transition to diversifying Mexico's and Norway's economy? Well, three sectors: health tech, smart cities, and orange economy, that is, creative industries. Second, coming back to Kristen's question about what are the capacities of Mexico-Norway, I will invite you to take a look at the Global Innovation Index that was just released yesterday by WIPO, the World International Property Organization, where it shows how our innovation capacities and capabilities are complementary. In the area of health tech, I think we have a huge opportunity precisely in the scale-ups that Anke was referring. I will just add one extra C to the scaling up. Scaling up also the concept, because normally we tend to assume that once we have a product, then we begin with the marketing and so on and so forth. But we can bear the fruits of this BIE, which, by the way, would be the first time ever in the world that would be made to profit from that extra scale-up opportunity.
Thanks. Anniken, you raised your hand.
Yes, thank you. So just a comment to the things that have been spoken the last 5 to 10 minutes. The integration and the complementariness of the areas that you are aiming for with health and smart city and creative industries, they're vast. I mean, these are huge industries by themselves, and combined they're enormous, very exciting industries. And I also think what we're seeing today is that many of these unrelated industries actually are being connected, because, for instance, one of the creative industries is gaming. And a lot of health tech these days have gamification as a core component. That will also go for smart city. And so what's important, I think important moving forward with this program is that we see our areas of focus and create that infrastructure also in between those areas. For instance, we're part of this creative business network that I told you about earlier. So we have developed our own concept here in Norway called Creative Tech Hunt, where we annually have a startup competition throughout the whole nation. We facilitate it together with hubs all around the country, and then we identify the most promising startups within the creative industries, which obviously are 12 different industries bundled into one. And then they will all meet up in a grand finale, and we'll pick a winner. Obviously, this tech hunt, this competition is also rigged that way that the investors will have a good look at all these startups, which is my second comment, that capital is also a really interesting factor of this binational innovation ecosystem. because it turns out, that even though creative industries is one of the fastest growing industries of the world today, it's not that many investors that really understand creative industry yet. So to have a separate focus on investing, I think would be very good for the initiative.
That's a good comment. So you're actually suggesting to let's organize a tech hunt between Norway and Mexico.
Yes, I would love that.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have these concrete suggestions. Listen, I see there are many questions in the chat. We're gonna follow up on these, and I see one thing that people are very interested in here is trying to be as concrete as possible. What are these things that we could do together? Because as you say, Anniken, smart cities is large, creative industries are large, and so on. And I see one of our participants have raised his hands. I don't know your name, so please introduce yourself and come with your comments.
It's probably me, Jose Martinez in Entrepreneurial, Norway.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, it's you. Hello. Yes, we met.
Yeah.
Now I see who you are.
I'm at the bottom here. Yes. Hello, Ambassador. Hello, everybody. I would like to have the opportunity just to remind everybody here that Norway has a fantastic infrastructure for financing of Norwegian exports. Having said that, and representing Export Credit Norway, I would like to say that whatever Norwegian technology or capital goods or services can be financed to possible Mexican buyers. So we provide financing to Mexican institutions and companies in order for them to buy Norwegian products, capital goods and services. And this is, of course, very interesting both for the exporter and the importer when we are discussing Norwegian products and innovation products that could be financeable by us.
Yeah, that's a good comment. It's an important thing. That part, it makes it feasible when you have that kind of financial scheme that you represent.
Correct.
Can we just try to go even more deeper and concrete into this? What is it actually? Because there's a question here from Luis Gutierrez. Creative industries and tourism is one of the 6 industries to focus on the future according to Innovation Norway. What are the current capabilities of Mexico towards these industries? What is it? What are the strengths within creative industries and tourism in Mexico that could be interesting for Norwegian business? Paola.
Yes, well, Mexico has a very, very prominent creative industry sector. Mainly the subsectors would be video games, film, mainly, right? We have a huge video game ecosystem. They produce, they design, they're engineers, so you can find, like all the ecosystem within the ecosystem of video games, of talented people, prepared people. There are universities that provide video gaming as a master. So you can find a lot of industries within creative industries. It's a very large country that represents most of the festivals in the world with this industry. I mean, we're based on cultural heritage, so fortunately, technology and social sophistication has brought a very prominent creative industry. So you can find more information. I can share more information through the embassy. There's some mappings that were just published last year, and but mainly I think gaming and film would be the most important ones within the sector.
Thank you. Carmina? You are muted, Carmina.
Yes. Sorry. Well, I think that we're very strong in tourism and in creative industries. In fact, we have a forum this Thursday in which we are going to speak about this sector in the future for the 2030. So I think that Mexico and Norway, we have this like symbiosis in this subject, and also I like say that for all the vinculation and the generate knowledge and the collaboration, it's something very important, and we make it every day, all days. And I saw a question that was here. A question: it's well known that government doesn't care much about technology, science, or innovation, and how would you develop a project or a program without the government support? And I'm not checking about the financial issues. Okay, I think that the innovation culture here in Mexico is very important, because we are very, I don't know, we always do the same. So if you always do the same, the results will be the same. And we don't need this just right now. And I think that we need to motivate the society in general, not only centers of innovation or the academy or people who are in the world of innovation, in the ecosystem of innovation. We are already there. We need that more people like this subject, are interested in this subject, and well, in mind, we are making this with forums, with workshops, with a lot of activities, now virtual. Now everything is just like virtual. But we need to motivate people to like this subject, because if we don't motivate with specific subjects that are interesting for these people, we're not going to go anywhere. So I think with that, we need to focus in innovation culture and make things easier for the people, and sometimes not speaking so specifically with terms of technology, because the people are losing these terms. So we need to be like more popular, they're more sexy with these kinds of subjects. So the people is going to be interested. That will be my answer to this question.
Thank you. I see another one of our participants has raised his or her hand. It's a J on the screen here. So you can turn on your camera and pose your question.
Yeah, it's wonderful to you. Very briefly, I mean, in innovation, the Binational Innovation System requires both countries to know what their respective competitive advantages are. So, as an innovator in Norway, what do you miss that Mexico can provide? And what are you missing that you might be able to find in Mexico? I think the crucial question is for Mexico. Thank you.
That's a great question. It's a very, very good question. Trine or Anniken, do you have any reflections on that? Anniken?
I would like to comment on it, because as you have mentioned, creative industries are huge in Mexico. And one of the things that I notice is that many of the startups and scale-ups coming out of Norway the last 8 years, we tend to maybe think traditionally about where we go to market. It's Europe, the US. It tends to be like Berlin, Amsterdam, London, New York, San Francisco, or maybe Singapore. And now I'm being limited. Of course, this is a tabloid version of reality. But to be honest, I haven't once during these 8 years had a startup come to me saying that we'd like to enter Mexico. Can you help us? So I think it's a lack of awareness, a lack of fresh thinking, knowledge. As Trine said, we need to understand the possibilities. And I am very sure that creating, for instance, with creative industries, an infrastructure between our countries, we will be able to learn a lot from each other, because there are enough differences between our nations for us to learn a lot also. And when you speak about gaming and the huge industry that you have in Mexico, we have quite a potent small group of companies here in Norway being extremely in the front of gaming. So having a system to connect these startups maybe also may actually create some very new and interesting possibilities, not only for the companies but also maybe for the industry.
And I think always the matter of market size will also come in as an interesting factor, no matter how. I think it was the ambassador first and then Paola, right? Or Paola, you sit down your hand again.
No, it was up.
Yeah, I think it's the ambassador first. Yes.
Yeah. Should I go first? Or the ambassador? Okay. Okay, yes. To that point, after building the creative industry ecosystem, we formed the high impact entrepreneurial ecosystem, which obviously the creative sector is part of it. And my experience was really structuring the main actors that represented the ecosystem so they can bring in the other participant or the rest of the civil society. So, of course, as Gaute was saying, it's all about market size, and it's all about who will be the financial sponsors for these projects to flourish. But also, if you find good collaborations, they will flourish per se. That's the good thing about creativity and knowledge, that it's not a fossil fuel, not renewable resource, but it's a renewable resource. And so you can just, by combining ideas, you can foster better ideas. And what we saw in the National Entrepreneurship Institute, in the former government, is that most of the projects, like 40% of the projects that didn't receive investment, they went on with their projects just by vinculating themselves with the correct partners, right? And the rest would need it. They needed, just because of the scale they had, more investment to really achieve their next step. So I think if we could map out those actors within the Norwegian ecosystem and Mexican ecosystem and see what they need to bring in the first pilot or a first example of projects, that could show and give some parameters for the next project to build in, right? Will give us a first example, a first exercise for us to replicate in the future with some good ideas and some other ideas to be more perfect in the future, right? But you need to have the people to collaborate. You need to make the people collaborate, to talk to each other first, because it's how the ecosystem is, the nature of the ecosystems, right? It's not, nothing is written on stone, and less if you're talking if you're talking about two ecosystems that are built in such a different way, right? You need to pair those differences and then bring in a new product out of it.
Thank you. Ambassador.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, just first to say, indeed, regarding creative industries, Mexico is a heavyweight. I've seen in the chat that Lorena Rivera was pointing that out as well. Just to give you some figures, couple of years ago, I think that was back in 2018, the numbers were like Mexico exporting around 5,700 creative products. In the region, the nearest one exporting creative products came with 800 only. So that gives you an idea of the dimension of the creative industry machinery in Mexico. Second, if I may, I would like to recognize the presence of WIPO, representatives of WIPO in this seminar, as well as representatives from CONCAMIN. Dr. Jose Ramon was here last October when we launched the idea of the Binational Innovation Ecosystem. So I'm very happy to see him among the audience and raising so very interesting questions as always. Thirdly, reacting to Trine about the awareness of Mexico and Norway, or the awareness of Norwegians regarding Mexico. Well, we need to dig a little bit further or deeper, because a couple of months ago, I visited Norway Research Council. To my surprise, there's an area of increasing interest where we've been working quite closely, and that's the area of astrophysics. I'm sure that there are a lot of areas like that we have not realized that we've been working for the last couple of years. So I'm positive that in the areas of health tech, creative industries, and smart cities, we will find, well, if not the unicorn, we would find definitely the project to launch. And lastly, just as a way of wrapping up, somebody is asking, what are the next steps? Well, the next steps would be for us to finishing the mapping the mapping of the binational innovation ecosystem, which we have almost cleared and done. Second, identifying the first win among the priorities that we have already identified. And of course, establishing the hub to connect and cross-pollinate. In that regard, from that perspective, Caltech, well, the others, of course, will be working with other members of the ecosystem, and I will invite all our participants to be in touch. We'll get more information on this. The idea of having a tech camp is really a very good one, and we will be pursuing. Thank you.
Oh, that's great, Ambassador. That sounds like there are some concrete next steps coming out of this. And we are actually approaching the end of our full hour, and I would like to ask the other four panelists as well to come up with, some kind of a key learning, or perhaps even better, a suggestion for a next step. Where do we go from now? What's your, wrap up and conclusion from this here today? Yes, Camila.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. And I think that for the next step, we need to make, like Lisa said, a mapping of the ecosystem, but also make a program with plans, with specific plans of what we're going to do. And we are now talking about this. We are on the way. So I think that it's going to be just thinking a little more and talk about another persons with another institutions that we are today. I have learned a lot of things, and also I think that we need to focus in the subjects that are going to that will grow very easy. And I saw here subjects that maybe we can work in the future, in the near future. And well, first of all, we want to thank you, the Embassy of Mexico in Norway, you, Gaute, because you are very kind with us, and to the other participants, because we are really learning today. Here's my team. Here is Karina, Edgar, and we are writing and thinking what we're going to do. And well, for us, we are believers of innovation. We are people who love to make things about innovation and technology, and we want to make a better world. And I think we are working just right now in this subject. How can we make that technology and innovation improve our lives? So thank you very much.
I'd like to need to because closing down.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your comment, Vicenta. I read it. Congratulations and great initiative. I'd like for Paola to continue now, and the rest of you guys be brief, because people are starting to exit our webinar. Paola? She's not there. Okay, Trina?
Yes, thank you. I think it was very interesting. I'm looking forward to the next steps. I'd also like to say that it's one important question I'm asking every time I'm going to making a new market entry program for the companies. It's what's in it for me. And then I have the glasses on from the companies, because we need to make both markets of interest to the different companies that we would like to attract. Put those glasses on and we'll make the best out of it. And the last thing is, somebody said once that alone you can go fast, but together you can go far. So, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Tina.
So if it's my turn, I just say that we should create some tech camps or creative tech camps or some sort of hangouts together. We represent a huge community, so we should get connected and see how the community itself actually holds on to being connected. So I am excited about that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Morten, for your comments. Paola, are you back with us, or what happened?
Yes, I'm here. I don't know what happened with my platform.
Let's try to
You can't see me, right?
We can only hear you, but that's good enough.
Okay, perfect. So yes, my conclusion of all this, it's like I'm super excited. It's a pleasure to share panel with this amazing personalities, and that they're pushing innovation. It's my passion. And I would like to say that something super important to consider is the awareness we need to build within both communities. So for people be interested, informed, they will be willing to participate with more information that they have in their hands, and that participation will be part of the structure of the project. So we, based on the first pilot project, we need to start communicating to more people, and so everybody that is in this panel should communicate to their friends that this binational innovation ecosystem is going to happen, or it's happening already. And thank you, Gaute, and thank you, Ambassador, for the invitation.
Thanks a lot, Paola. Thank you for all the comments on the side here. Thank you, Manuel, Octavia, Morten, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and have a great evening in Norway and a great day in Mexico. And guys, follow Oslo Innovation Week. Please follow Oslo Innovation Week. There is a lot more to go on the program. Check out oew.no.